let me know when it's on.
Live.
So, to end all artists' live talks, we come up with several quick-fire, silly questions. Okay? So this is going to be a challenge for you because you like to elaborate, you like to go deep, you like to explain yourself thoroughly. This is a challenge for you to be like that, this and that. It's yes, no, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Ich bin hier.
So, without further ado, here are the 10 silly questions.
10 silly questions.
Theme tune, theme tune, theme tune, theme tune, theme tune, theme tune. Alright, so, Cibelle, face filter or filtered coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
The internet or the forest?
Forest.
If you had to live in the loft of Gropius Bow, would you feed the pigeons?
There's a loft there?
If you were in a post-punk band, would you be happy with the name Dirt Peach?
No.
Warm beer or warm chocolate?
Warm chocolate.
What's your favourite fruit to eat when in the park?
When in the where?
Park.
In the park. Grape? Cherry! Cherry!
We have to take your first answer. Great. And
No!
and just the one grape. In general, what would you recommend in one word?
Know thyself.
Like that. Choose a 1 metre long neck or no neck at all.
No neck at all.
What?
In one word, what is next for you, Cibelle?
Sea shark.
Thank you so much for chatting with us today. It's been a pleasure. And,
Thank you, Cibelle.
this is a documentation.
Thank you,
the
thank
live
you,
thing
Joel.
is inconsequential. We will upload this, we'll edit this. This will be for future reference. Thank you for tuning in, all 4 of you. And we will see you soon.
One.
One or whatever. And thank you to Joseph.
Joseph!
The artist graduated in 2015 from Royal College of Art, London. They have a vast career as a visual artist, having participated in exhibitions in institutions such as Gropius Bow, Musea Rin, sorry about the pronunciation, Sophia, Madrid, Carnegie Hall, New York, and Art Basel, Miami. In the recent years, focusing their production on digital art and using Instagram as a medium to communicate and interact with people from all over the world. Currently operating daily through the social media stories under Avtar Perform. At Avtar Perform, we'll link to that in our thing. Cibelle, thank you for talking with us today. We'd like to jump straight into it.
Yeah.
If we may. Okay, that's fine. Your work centers around your experience as a person to identify non-binary. Could you tell us a little more about how this informs your practice and your approach as an artist?
It's not that being a person is identified as non-binary or gender chaotic or just in refusal of the bullshit that gender in the binary as like an enforced in the binary is. It's about not like non-binary thinking, nuanced thinking, like moving beyond the form and the formal. So moving beyond the body as the site of everything. It's like bringing the attention to what moves the body. So I talk about the body as an avatar interface and being a user of such interface, which we all are in a way. And then we have different kinds of interfaces. Like it's infinitely varied. And also then when working with, in a physical, like in a material art practice, for example, it's very hard to say. Like when you look at my work, it's always in this neither space. It's neither a painting or a sculpture. It's neither. So then this is really important for me, as well as like going against some kind of self-branding, like by form again, like formalism. Like, oh, you always have this kind of form. You always, like having to attend to an ideal aesthetic of what is. So like gender does that. Oh, what is a woman? A what? And that's on, the most mindfucks people get is like with the aesthetic. What is a man? And then like now, for example, that we can have, non-binary and gender non-conforming. There's so much that plays around like the aesthetic, and I'm not meaning just aesthetics as what you're wearing and if you have makeup or not or facial hair, but I mean like aesthetics, semiotics.
Which are just as rigid as the form in some ways. These concepts are so sort of deeply entwined into the way we've been brought up and the way that we've been presented different genders that they're quite solid and difficult to move in a lot of us, I think. And that's the process, I believe, that you're sort of breaking down and presenting this other way of looking at it. Would that be fair to
That's
say?
just one aspect, I think. I don't think that's the main thing. Maybe it was the main thing for a while, like especially with the work of Avatar Perform. But it was more about deprogramming as a whole, of like looking at how, like treating like looking at the body as an avatar interface, at the person as a user, and also like looking at language as a oh my god, the words is leaving my mind. I haven't spoken about this.
They're leaving your mind going into the nature.
But this is really important.
To the nature.
It's an operational system. And so the viruses that we have, they run in this operational system of language, and be that language like oral, like words, but also signifiers, image signifiers, aesthetics like this. Like for example, in looking in politics, you know, or just in a group with a few friends in Brazil, like analyzing, semiotically analyzing the memes that are actual propaganda nowadays for the extreme right wing, like Bolsonaro, where most of the aesthetic efforts are to construct this image of the super strong, like alpha male to Bolsonaro who looks super fucked up. But all their propaganda memes are like Superman, like rough body, and this is then what stays in people's minds. And in my research, I'm really concerned with that, like these, because it's like an object, it's like tinted lenses, like a physical thing that's in your mind that affects how you see each other and everything. So it goes to how you see a person and see their skin color, their facial features, how you are understanding their assigned gender or their gender expression and identity, to like a piece of work. For example, you know, you can look at a 2D piece of work and try to go into a narrative of painting to it, but is it actually, does that work belong to the painting narrative? Like I let things hang pretty loose in terms of how they're gonna come out aesthetically, let's say. I really try not to force the same thing I do with myself, like I'm saying, you know, like I'm refusing the boxes because I don't think they make sense at all on the gender. I just happen to have been assigned female at birth, and I, you know, have the consequences from it. But I try my best to deprogram myself from these societal concepts, or as I call them, malware, and then these biases, and just kind of let the self be through the body and express it however it's feeling, mostly feeling, sensing harmoniously to how it is. So like that, and the same goes for the work. I don't really think like stuff like, should it be a sculpture that does this and then that? But like, am I using too much red? It's like, that's not really how I go. It's more like, it's the same feeling with this self within, how I'm gonna go and deal with materials and circumstances. So it's like this, the intersection of site, occasion, and purpose. This is what I work with. And then suddenly, for example, it happened that I started going more digital, and like I got into AR and things just go like that. But the work is not about that. You know, it's not about the form. It's not about the form that it takes, but you question the forms that it takes. You question society, how it relates to the form and how it's affected by form. But ultimately, I want to bring people to, let's say, the wireframe of things. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm monologuing.
No, this is brilliant. This is brilliant.
Really interesting because I used to think a lot about wireframe years ago, like when I did this album called Unbinding, which is a piece, like, but then I still had an album contract, so a lot of my work I was offsetting to where I had a budget, occasion, and purpose site also. So I was signed to a record label for many years and like known as like a singer and stuff. I was like, great, I have this budget and I have this concept, let's funnel it through, let's use this, and I'm really interested in this kind of, also this murkiness of the concept of, is this life, is this music, is this an art, what is it? And that's my whole point, to like move beyond. So at that time with unbinding, I really didn't want, it was the beginning of me transitioning as well. We didn't have the word non-binary then, or gender chaotic, or non-conforming or anything.
Sorry.
But that time I wasn't feeling comfortable of having my face on anything, and I was really getting into like deep iconoclasm. And then with the wireframe, I was just obsessed with like grids, as like the basis for, when you're designing anything 3D, you have the axis and you have the grid. And it's interesting because subconsciously I was dealing like wireframing a lot of images just with like some plugins, like taking the image into a wireframe, especially like my face, when my face was a painting. And then recently I was looking at like backtracking my practice, because to some people, for example, like I've heard this, like, oh my god, this is like, can be so busy and so colorful and this crazy shapes and shit everywhere, but then it can be so minimal, and how is that? And
This is how people are giving you feedback too. Is this what they're...
This has happened.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, this actually has happened. And like variations of that also. Like when people like, never forget, like in art school, a friend of mine came into my studio when it was just like silver floor and a few lines, and they're just like, but this doesn't look like you. And I'm like, what does it mean? It's like, what do you mean? Depending on what is the language?
I feel, I'm
doing super circles to talk about the wireframe, which is because I haven't verbalized it much.
Please.
But anyways, I looked at the super colorful installation of when I'm doing Sonia in Las Vegas Resort Palace Hotel. And then there was an image search on Google. And then there was the image of a thousand ways to kill a monster, which is when I have, it was the second time I used loads of, like a grid, but like mirror tiles. And there was some drapey elements. And then I was looking and I was like, holy shit. Like if I was just to have the wireframe or just the lines, or remove the color input or the materials that are there, the language, like as if I could get like the spirit of the idea, because there are so many rectangles and squares. So again, like the wireframe in two senses of the grids, but also removing this aesthetic input. And then you have these biomorphic shapes. And this was happening in everything that you would look at that I had been doing. Everything.
Well, everything was referencing this grid underlying...
Without making an effort. So it's like without the aesthetic goal of having it. I made everything black and white and pulled up a contrast, and I'm just like, grid, rectangle, grid. And then biomorphic shapes or draped items, like things hanging.
Can you just explain what biomorphic? I'm a little bit unsure about biomorphic.
Biomorphic is when something has a biological morphos, like a form.
Okay.
So you have anthropomorphic is when you have figures, something looks like a person, and then biomorphic, like anything biological. So it can be a body, it can be plants, it can be I'm really into biomorphic. I'm really into that, but not as like, oh, I'm gonna go do biomorphic. I'm just like drawn to it.
You're drawn to the forms and the shapes.
Because I feel like these shapes appear whenever you work in meditation. It just happens. Like you're not trying.
That was a big joke.
No, but like when I'm not trying, I'm like not trying to do anything. I'm just like, for example, picking random colors, because this is like a lot of my painting is like, so it's trying to abstract thinking or like trying to find some kind of zen and harmony between things that according to our programmed mind or how we've learned aesthetics or whatever, these match and those don't. So like have whatever colors, and I'll just like kind of pick them randomly, and I'm gonna follow like this meditative pulse as I'm laying down the movement, along with watercolor, which is my favorite. And funny enough that eventually even the most hideous palette finds harmony. And the shapes that come out of that exercise are always biomorphic, at least for me. I don't know, it's always biomorphic. If I'm not looking, if I'm not trying, if I'm just, picking bits of clothes and like sewing them together, dipping them in latex, I pull them out, is a freaking biomorphic shape.
Could someone look at that and say, well, biomorphic shapes are in essence quite abstract and not necessarily following a form, so you could actually apply apply that to a shape that doesn't look anthropomorphic,
I
for
mean,
example?
of course, you can go set out to do a biomorphic shape because we kind of know what they, more or less, what they are like. But what I find interesting is like, I guess it's because of like research and insights and stuff. I find that the biomorphic shapes, to me, they are, when done in the way that I'm talking about, to me, they signal to a deeper, I don't know, knowledge, life force, something that's bigger than us at creation or something. Because also, I've seen biomorphic shapes come up out of AI experiments, and that for me is like okay. Or like for example, a friend of mine showed me there was a piece like Carolina Barroeco. She's really into 3D printing and collaboration human machine. So there was this item like tube with some hooks, some place where to hook stuff. There was the human, so super programmed mathematic mind designing it, and it looked really fucking stiff, like these lines and stuff. And then there was a version that was like optimized by the freaking algorithm, and it was the most biomorphic shape thing I've ever seen to do
Wow.
with that. Like
That's interesting.
that was amazing. And also, for example, Bitcoin transactions, imaging of Bitcoin transactions, and worms. Let me see if I remember. I might be talking shit, but it's not entire shit. It's just a little shit instead of a lot of shit.
We've got to talk about the little shit.
Yeah, so about the little shit. It's like I was at the Money Lab in Amsterdam, and then there was this workshop in visualization of Bitcoin transactions, and they look like petri dishes. And the crazy thing is like the ones that were more like malware, they were like self-selling and they were like pushing stuff. They looked like freaking viruses. They looked like worms. The shapes that they would take. I'm really into this like as above, so below.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, it almost reminds me of. Oh, hang on. I mean, I really relate to this idea of as above, as below. You know, this the macro and the micro. And when you look really close, I mean, this is my super basic understanding. That when you look at something under a microscope, and you see kind of like systems, like galaxies and molecules that are moving similar to planets, and then you zoom out from that, and you see these other patterns again, and it's interesting that you're picking up on this, just naturally working and seeing what arises, and using these different mediums. And is this something that meditation helped you really discover or strengthen that kind of realization?
Definitely. Because if you don't make space for insight doesn't happen. Like you're not gonna have insight looking at shit. You're gonna have insight when you find a tool to busy your left brain. Because your left brain is like ideas, narrative. So make that busy with something. Because for example, in meditation, if you're doing like you have to count breaths, or you have to like sing a mantra. Like
do you have a specific practice for your?
I have a few.
Yeah.
I make my own salad. I've been initiated.
Yeah.
But I find like with anything to do with I don't like the word spiritual.
Good echo point. Going around to different locations.
Yeah, I feel
It's
super
so good
relaxed.
for the brain and the mind.
Home. I've been here so much.
You're teaching me, and I'm like,
When are y'all getting?
You look so great on this camera too. This camera's loving you.
yeah.
So I was saying.
Meditation practice.
Yeah, it's like.
Spirituality.
Yeah, it's
Like the truth.
It's meditation
The
practices.
truth comes in many different forms.
exactly. Exactly, in many different languages, like the and like it's hard to say what is the truth. I'm not gonna say it because then it would be a lie.
Oh.
You have to, you feel it. But I mean, it's always best to read of everything. I read of everything and study of everything, and then you meditate upon that, and then you have the I say like the core, like the straw of the core, you know, of truth, let's say.
I think it's a really
And it's
excellent
across
point because
science too. Because it's the thing people separate in like quantum mechanics.
but this is a difficult place to occupy, right? Because I think especially in this current climate of things, it's so easy to go to an extreme because it's somewhere where everyone's standing and it's easy to define and say, well, this is what I believe in. But to be in the middle, to learn from many things and to actually make your own salad, as you say, and to actually, it's a bit uncomfortable sometimes because it isn't so defined. But it's something that I think a lot of us, and especially you, are trying to work towards, trying to find this balance between all of these different personal truths.
And trying to help people also figure out how to find the salad, to be honest. Like, when you enter a self-inquiry, which when I talk about deprogramming, I'm just Krishnamurtiing the fuck out of everything in computer language. That's what I'm doing. It's like Jiddu Krishnamurti all over.
Krishnamurti.
Jiddu Krishnamurti is a philosopher, like, from India, like, many years ago, that now it's incredibly relevant, actually, for nowadays, like, with Krishnamurti. Because now it's ready. Before then, it was a bit like, whoa, I think, like, wait, what? Everything is a construct? Everything? Like, before anyone in queer theory went, well, perhaps gender is a construct, Krishnamurti was like, back then, like, everything about you, every idea you have about you, yourself and your surroundings, those are concepts. Like, there is a talk of Krishnamurti that says, that's called On the Relationship Between Thought and Consciousness. It's only 20 minutes, and like, I remember listening to that the first time and just going like, I have to listen again and again, because it creates these gaps in your thinking, you know. But basically, it's guiding you to self-inquiry, to ask, you know, you have to always question everything. Always question everything, and also look for patterns. You know, pattern recognition is super important. So you look for the patterns, things that match, things that don't match, and then you start finding the core of knowledge throughout everything. There is a secret, not secret, there's a silent language, let's say, that pervades everything. And then also with self pattern recognition, to go and break patterns. If you're repeating something too much, if you're like, if you're observing yourself, your patterns, you will find where you've been conditioned. Like, oh, I do this every day. Why do I do this every day?
I mean, this is a great thing to inquire with the meditation practice, right? I mean, for me, I've recently, I've got a meditation practice as well, and I sometimes take psychedelics, and I feel that these but I use them for this type of thing. It's not a recreational thing. It's a practice, and the last time I had this really healthy dose of mushrooms, the amount of things that just popped up that I did not know were there, and that I acted upon, you know, after the fact was.
I find psychedelics really helpful for that as well. Sometimes I take like a ninth, even not even a quarter, like a ninth.
So it's like a microdose or something.
Yeah, like a microdose. Like, you know, when I feel like I'm trying my best to meditation and I'm not finding some stuff, sometimes I feel like I need to push a bit, like feeling like, you know, there's a lot of stuff under this rug, and I feel really uncomfortable, like what's happening, and I cannot find it. No, I'm great.
I thought you were trying to subtly communicate.
But and you're not being able to, I don't know, speak, or sometimes I find like it can be helpful, but it's not an everyday thing. I still maintain that like psychedelics can be really helpful and really great, but it doesn't do the same good as to achieve through your own and through raising your own levels. Because think of like a neural net, you know, you hardwire your system in your brain. Like if you're doing it progressively through your thinking and your questioning, inquiry, and your exercise, it's like you're acquiring a muscle. So you get to that point, like your body gets there, and I find that psychedelics is like, whoa, like, you know, like you get there, but like your muscles are not quite ready,
It's really great.
you know, and you're just like, whoa, like fuck, okay, I got it, and then you come out of it, and you don't have biceps to hold that.
I think that's that is the danger and the misperception of psychedelics, isn't it? It can be very useful for self-inquiries, but if you haven't got the muscles that you've exercised, the overwhelm would be so great that you can actually be just that, overwhelmed, and there's too much to unpack. You know, there's too much to unpack, and
There was a reason why, like, for so many centers that have been esoteric schools with ESO, like, because there was like an order to learn certain things, and the reason is not like, oh my god, secret societies, no. It's more like so that you don't get fucking blinded by stuff. But also, again, if you do get blinded, so be it. You are on your journey.
no such thing as a bad trip, I guess you could say.
Do you? I love bad trips. They are the best teachers. They're fucking horrible, but the shit I've
Yeah.
learned.
I had
You
about
learned-
10 years of that.
You learn something.
I just want to check on Joseph. Joseph, are you okay? How's your muscles? Speaking of biceps, are we okay? Look how lovely Joseph looks up here, by the way, today.
You're looking terrific. Great, Joseph. Thank
I
you.
think this would be a good point just to have a little one of these.
Yeah.
Just have a little pauser.
Yeah.
We can still keep the camera on a second.
Should I stop?
Don't forget to save it to
Yeah.
the profile.
yeah. We
So
save it and
I
download it
I
and also-
trust you more. Like, how do I stop it?
So
How
you
do I
just
stop
stop
it?
it. You just
And-
end.
No, you don't have to stop it.
No,
Just keep it going.
but it your cell phone
Kept
was
at an hour, I think.
I'm going to put up on the...
your cell phone did say like I don't know, using more of your
Yeah,
data.
do it. It's fine.
Okay,
It's
so
fine.
I don't
This
end
is so
it.
nice, neighbors.
Yeah, this is what this is about.
Neighbors
And also, it's a casual catch up with a friend of the gallery. It should have these behind the scene moments, not all this, you know, like.
Just say our
we had so
slogan.
many
Say
questions,
we are not a proper
written, but
gallery.
It's so nice just to have an actual chat and listen to
Yeah,
you
no, but you
talk.
can also ask them, like, because I monologue a lot. Like, I can just go. It's not like I monologue. It's I feel like, you know, it's like the channel opens and then the stuff.
No, it's good. You have a partner here in this. You are both.
Kylie monologue, or Kyle monologue.
Kylie monologue.
Wie geht's, Kinder?
That's gonna be my drag name now.
Yeah,
Kylie
I love
monologue.
It. Kylie monologue. I love
Oh
that.
my God, I've been
Cheers to that.
baptized.
Cheers to Kylie. I'll just give you
Kylie
another little bit more of a
monologue.
drop there.
Oh my God.
Arancha, here's yours.
Joseph, give
Let's
me
just
the-
give you a little bit of a... This is Arancha as well. This is a member
do you
of the
want
Weserhalle team here, who is an integral part of what's going on right now. Joseph, would you like a little tipple?
I gave him mine.
Okay, I'll give you another.
Yay!
I'm gonna have to talk with my
But look, it's not too cold. It's actually quite nice and fresh.
It's quite fresh.
That's being real.
Yeah, the Kinder is not wearing a jumper or anything.
wow, but the
Oh,
Kinder is
that's-
probably Deutsch.
Yeah, it's gonna touch it.
I'm so suspicious of how delicious this drink tastes. It shouldn't taste this delicious.
What?
Right?
This
It's
sex?
€3, and
Tastes like headache.
it's.
But this
it's headache
grows.
the next
This
day.
grows in Berlin's floors like grass.
So
How you doing, Joseph? I can try if you're tired, mate.
no, it's really difficult. Sorry.
Yeah,
You
no.
can do it, but actually, I don't want you to fall in and hurt yourself.
Oh my God, I was so needing this. By the way, thank you.
Oh, please.
No,
Cheers.
not exactly the drink, but like this, the hanging out.
Yeah.
So like freaking.
These are the
So-
new meters, the new times.
I-
Lockdown situation, like not seeing many people, it's been so fucking tough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very social and sociable, and
Well, allow this moment to come out a little bit. Just to bring it back, because we have had a little bit of a free chat. It'd be nice to bring it back to some of the questions that we've come here. You've been very successful with your production and development of digital art, especially when it comes to face films. How do you see this digital art and the entrance of this new medium in more traditional art environments such as galleries and museums?
I've been like trying, like it's funny because it's all my whole art practice is always expression. It always happened that I was doing stuff that wasn't understood as an art at the time when I started. Like, you know, like I was doing I was like full-on performances, installations, singing that comes out as an album that tours venues, but then ends up in a gallery and stuff.
So
And people were just like, "Oh my god, but you're like a pop singer!" And
yeah,
I'm like, "It's an art. I'm
yeah.
trying." And then eventually, it became like nowadays. But in between this and that, I got tired, and I was like, "Oh fuck this! I'm tired. I'm doing like I just want to focus on more visual and material practices and blah blah blah." And then it's the funny thing with the digital is, especially the filters. I was just about to go back hardcore painting. And I have a funny relationship with my body where stuff breaks and whatever, at very precise times. And I was just like gearing up to do that, and then I broke my elbow, and it was the same week that I found Spark AR because I saw the filter from Johanna, no, the main face, and I went to her account, and she had very few followers in, and I'm like, wait, well, artists are like what anyone is publishing? How is this happening? I want to do this. I've been wanting to do this because I've been making work with AR for years.
How did that, when you say years, what was that looking like years ago?
I was using, sometimes I repost it. I was using a combination of several AR apps that were developed by other people. It wasn't like I wasn't making my own filters, but by mixing images from several filters from other people, from other like Chinese apps and stuff, I was getting the images that I wanted, and I was getting the filters that I needed.
Right.
So, and I was posting that on my Instagram, which then I was saying that's my work, but also at that time, it wasn't anyone at all really using Instagram.
And I guess also the way people were interacting with filters then, and the sort of the viral effect of filters now, it would have been a lot different. Because now it's baked into Instagram,
but also
right?
now it's completely different. Because then it was like more. I was just producing imagery that was made in AR, and other apps that were like morph your face or whatever, and just like. But it was very much talking about morphing the body and pushing the body out of the body as it's known, pushing it away from the Cibelle singer, also pushing it away of gender, just like morphing on. I was also doing tons of like little sculptures and making them talk, and have videos of just them reflecting.
Are these online? Are these on your?
There's one called Heads that I haven't really shown. It was in an installation in my work in progress show at the RCA, but I never really shown them alone. I should show you because they're funny.
We need. I mean, it would be great.
Yeah, we need to have that.
It would be great to actually, because I mean, look, we
have a lot of work.
Yeah, it would be so good to have a good dig. Have a good dig through your work.
Yeah, and anyways, and then recently, so then I started doing the filters, and then that started happening, and I remember the first show that we did was with the DJ Gal here in Blaugauberstrasse that I expressively made like the QR code with the title and the date and the year and the name, like, you know, like a piece, like you would be a painting with the title below. So through the QR code, it went to the filter, and that was me saying, this is an art. And this was back in, was it April? I think April or May last year. That was like, no, May or June maybe. It's like, boom, this is what, this is it. And at the same time, my friend Zeba Jabbar was doing something at the Tate Exchange, like, it's an art as well. So we're all like finding each other. But I find it interesting now. So I've been waiting for institutions and galleries to be like, yes, an art, great, I like it. For so many times and for so many things, especially now with the digital, and it's happening. But when the lockdown happened, I got very suspicious and I got very anxious. While a lot of people were just like, well, maybe I can, people with certain privileges, maybe I can relax and take this time to reflect about my life or whatever. Talking about a very specific group of people in acknowledging people in very shit situations and striving for survival, and people that are doing way like millionaires that whatever, they don't even do anything. We're talking about artists specifically. I just felt, and I was talking about this with curators and artist friends of mine, and I even made a highlights on my Instagram about, like, are we now going to be for real taking as art, or are we going to be tokenized? Because we were already tokenized. Well, the gallery has, you know, the painter, the crazy feminist, or the,
The tokens,
you know, I've been a token before.
tick the box.
Yeah. And so, but there was just kind of the sense of an anxiety to do with the fear of being displaced or co-opted and then disposed of. That it wasn't just me, it was quite a bunch of people that I've spoken with. Because suddenly, everyone is online. And these institutions are calling Painter Joe that never done anything digital ever to like, hey, do you want to do this digital takeover?
Yeah.
Just kind of getting people with material practices to fuel up their grids and keep their stuff online live. I am not a purist. I'm not against people taking up a media, like I'm post medium, whatever, use whatever, we can use whatever. But we can clearly see the situation.
Yeah, I think this transition to online has to be done in a more like critical way than just simply like inviting, like you said, like material artists into a virtual exhibition that it's just like a picture online.
Yeah,
we had a question that it's very going on that way. Maybe we should attack with that one now.
No, but then there was the other fear also of like the tokenization of like when you get co-opted then, so because now they're trying to be nice and then getting the digital artists, but then as soon as lockdown is down, it's like
Goodbye.
see you. But I just want to state I don't.
Opa.
No, I was gonna say about like digital artists. Like I'm not just artist working a lot with digital because I find it very things are problematic as well to just find people by their medium. But I think we know what we're talking about. They have a practice that includes a certain practice,
And that it's reflecting on these new
Yeah, but I think
possibilities. Or
in the defense, not in the defense of galleries and museums, but I think mainly because it is still such a new medium.
Yeah.
And a lot of the ways galleries and museums operate is on reputation and CVs and what they've done in the past. And I think because there's yet to be this material's yet to have been fully explored in this way. So there isn't these artists perhaps with this digital history. In the sense that in the sense they've been highlighted
since
before it's a process.
since the 70s, 80s, there are many.
But I'm talking about using this material, the sort of internet, using the internet as their network, as their material. Like it is connected to these artists from the 70s, but it's still somewhat separate. And I think
Our sailors, our captain is coming back.
The process and the time, just like how things are done. It's more about how things are done. Because I think it's also interesting the absorption of the medium into just life. Because it's then the other anxiety that I think came up for a lot of people as lockdown progressed. Because, for example, for me, I went into quite a mindfuck at one point because I realized that part of my material that I work with, material is life, but my material is composed of life here and also and our relationship to our online life and to each other as little avatars, as thumbnails, and like our lives in social media and performance and stuff. And then suddenly the layer of the offline or the away from keyboard, the social life was gone. And everything just got sucked into the digital. Like life just became removed from Berlin into Facebook.
And it's so scary how quickly it happened.
And how quickly. And then suddenly I was like, oh, I guess I'm just an artist now again because we live digitally. So I think it's also interesting. So this is why I said I'm not a purist. I think there's ways of doing things, and I think it's also interesting that there can be. Maybe it's just the thing of the times. And you're gonna go into VR gallery and be able to see rendered versions. But we need to make the distinction of a rendered version of a Jeff Koons metallic dog, and the piece that was made
Yes,
for
yes.
that.
I think,
That was
yeah.
it's different.
It reminds me when iPads became popularized with artists, and the immediate thing was to try and recreate paintings
Yeah.
on the iPad, not to explore
Oh, that Hockney show.
the dimension
Did
of
you
which
see the Hockney show?
I've seen Hockney's
The one, the
paintings on
iPad
there,
show.
and it was kind of cool that he was just doing
I
this
love
stuff,
that.
and he was
It was
prolific
like-
with it. I love that, but the point I'm trying to make is that they were trying to adapt the traditional media
Yeah.
and kind of transpose it onto this
Yeah.
this infinite possibility machine, basically. And I
Yeah.
think that's the process that we're in. We're still trying to get our heads around what's possible, and I really believe that some of the best exhibitions are going to exist in the future, and they're going to be virtual. You know, I think that you could say in the future, your favorite exhibition that you've ever seen was a virtual.
I mean,
a
when we
virtual
can all have cheap VR headsets, we're gonna go into some crazy shit.
I
tell
think
you that.
I think
It's like installation work, the level we're gonna get into. Because like now I'm dedicating my time to learning C#, like without
This
feeling
is
it.
an incredible language. It's so powerful.
Do you do?
I know that it's. I've got a basic understanding of it. I'm a cowboy
I
coder.
just started a while ago because I do a bit of Unity, but I want to be able to like fucking rip its guts up. And thank you. Sure. I drink
So
really slow. Y'all drink coffee.
so because the nature of this artist's live project is to have a nice catch up basically.
Yeah.
We've got plenty of opportunities to talk with you in the future, and so it's a
we want to keep collaborating with Cibelle.
yes, and we'll definitely have talks outside of this conversation about how we can potentially work together in the future. Really excited about actually having a dive in your work. So I'm fascinated by how diverse your career has been to this point, and it's really interesting to me to have a when Arantxa showed me your pop videos, I was like,
Which video?
And congrats and
I
congrats.
was like, who is
Yeah, I showed I showed everything, and I also shared the fact that you are known in Brazil also, like there is like this also history that I find it really interesting
Yeah.
as well.
That
And
is material for me now.
And I
I've been
wouldn't-
trying
I
to
wouldn't
work that material.
I wouldn't classify it as pop, but well,
Yeah.
But
People say, you're a pop singer. I'm like,
not
Well,
really
look, words
pop.
are clumsy,
It's,
as we've been discussing
Yeah.
this whole time.
it's
Language
really
is
weird.
language is annoying.
I was very, let's say I managed to make a big niche, let's say. It's always been very niche because I've always, the same way I work with materials, I work with sound. In the same way I genre fuck. I've always done it. So I started with sound. So okay, here we get into the core of the shit. I started with sound. And my trip has always been like, I always want to trick and like catch, or make people catch themselves in their preconceptions or in their programming. So it started with sound and I would do exercises like this. Like for example, I would travel and get music from wherever, all kinds of music and these tracks that I really like, and then I'll sit with my collaborator at the time and we would listen to track after track after track when they have no connection at all until we got exhausted. So I really like exhaustion as well. It's a kind of a high. And then we would like take turns swapping the room in the studio, and I'll just play whatever, they would play whatever, without agreeing. Like, is this a blues? Like, is this a samba? There was never that for me. Like, what is this track? Like, we're always genre fucking. And then fucking with the signifiers, with the materials. It's a similar thing that I was saying about the wireframe. It's like, take a beat cycle that would be known for a certain type of music, but then stick a sound in there that would never belong to that. And just be fucking with that. And then also lyric-wise, sometimes I have like these text pieces, and then I'll just kind of I would chop and screw them around, or I would like channel them at once. Like the Unbinding album was really funny because I did a different process where I wanted to see what somebody did with me. And this guy that I was working with, Marcus, I was like, okay, I come to the studio and just put the track. I gave them like, I want rubber, I want empty space. I want sculpture, and just some random shit like this. And he was like making these tracks, and then I'd come in and I would improvise the lyrics, recording in the one pass, and then those lyrics then would get chopped, and that became the tracks. Like things like this. I've always been kind of working like a sculptor in a way, and I say a sculptor because the way that how I understand a relationship to sculpture is you're engaging with the material and you're playing with the significance and you're taking this and adding this and moving it around. So it's like ironic that I had my MA in painting because I went there because it was quieter. It was a quieter department at the Royal College of Art. But the way that I work, I think I should have been a sculptor maybe. Sculpture maybe. Because I'm not thinking of imaging. I'm not trying to image anything. So there are lots of like material painters that are about the material and the movement and all the stuff, and it's more intuitive. But I feel like I'm still again in the neither space of the painting and the sculpture and the thing. But very conceptually, as matter is vibration, so it can be a solid matter, it can be a vibration to the point it's ethereal and it's sound and using societal concepts as material. So, for example, calling this like a bossa nova beat. This is a concept also because somebody called it that.
It's an idea, yeah.
It's an idea. It's where do you start the one and you end three? Where is the tonic and things like that. So the concept of is this is my cooking pot. So we started there with sound.
Sound.
Yeah. So and like I said, I was signed as a writer. And that was useful for me because I was putting my work out that way. Because I was always also working with, okay, so what is the universe presenting me with? What are my opportunities? I didn't go after the label. It happened. If a label hadn't happened, maybe something else would have happened. Because I act and I do like loads of things.
Have you always been this way that you're given a structure of some sort and you just want to go to the source and question that and mess it up?
Yeah,
Has that always been a theme in your from as far as you can remember?
From as far as I can remember, and brings a lot of my family that's super conservative is like a big problem.
Was that maybe something that pushed you in that direction because perhaps you were placed in such a structure or environment that you've basically been smashing that down ever since?
Absolutely, because I could never get over. I could never understand. I'm like, why can't not my whole family, but there are some specific siblings I say people close. But why can't they like me as I am? Why is it such a problem the way I dress up or the way I cross or don't cross my legs or if I'm hairy or not? Why is it that form is such a problem? And then looking at my friends, that are black and brown friends, why is it that's it's a fucking skin color. It's a face shape. And people can't go fucking past it. It fucks with me.
Yeah.
Because we're the body does not shape who you are as a subjectivity. What does though is how society is reacting to your body, and this is how you end up in a group of people behaving sort of the same. Because some people can be like, yeah, but what explains that all black people this, all white people bad, and because you're being seen a certain way in society and you're responding to that, this trauma response.
The audience, the huge audience, mainstream audience, let's say, the vast majority of people, how you communicate to people like this without overwhelming, without in a way that makes them actually go further into their constructs, and this. I think this is part of the consideration. I think.
But this is why I fuck with aesthetics so much as well as a strategy too. So there is different ways that I fuck with aesthetics. One is the approach. So for example, what would be more helpful in the situation? Let's say you tell me where you are offering me a show and what kind of people are coming. And according to that, already I can think I figured something out. But sometimes it's best to go through a little bit. It's okay. Shock and awe, for example, I did make a disclaimer here, which was timeline mark for re-acknowledgement of intuition in naming fully contained expandable concept and process in everyone and aspect of each of their avatars. Yeah, so it's like kind of handing over avatar perform to people that are using the filters more than me talking. So it's more about the enabling people to express and navigate stuff. But just to conclude what we asked, is like, I think it's like maybe it is not exactly about the people that are going to be there, but like the situation. Sometimes I find that it's better if I go do the Sonia Kalikalon work, which is crazy, confusing, loud, like go for the massive confusion to destabilize, the norm, create a rupture in like a normative existence, and then maybe people can come out of themselves a bit more. And sometimes it is more meditative. Sometimes it is quieter. It really depends, Like I've done really quiet shows also in the past. Like really, I have a raging minimalist in me. I know it doesn't look like it. Like it's weird. Like I have one side that's this, like I want to like unearth and everything and like mess the whole thing up. And then there's the side of mine that's very like self-contained, minimal, formalist, aphoristic. Like I have a lot of aphorist work as well, which is like a little phrase. And like for example, Avatar Perform is already a piece. The name, it's like Avatar. The way I spell it, in Portuguese, it can sound like to avoid. I evitar.
Oh.
I evitar performance. So to avoid performing, but also we are avatars in performance, but we are also avatar as the one spread through several bodies, so perform. So there's like whenever you see any little phrases I do, you can usually break them into several phrases. You can pull stuff out.
How do we talk to people beyond our bubble?
Oh my god, we can only try, but doesn't guarantee they will listen because aesthetics. This is what I've learned.
But this is what I mean, because like a rancher.
Huge, will not listen. I'm saying this because we're Brazilian.
Yeah.
And I've tried everything. And like, for example, the people that have made up their mind,
Wie geht's, Leute?
Have fun.
they made their minds, and that's what. The thing is, unfortunately, aesthetics does play a huge part, like in triggering you to listen or not to listen to someone. So much so that, like, me and a few friends, we have a group, like I said, we're analyzing Bolsonaro fans memes to think about strategies of maybe trying to get that language, that visual language, and work with it. Even if to make art only, whatever. We're trying at least to understand what's the language. But I think people will only learn unless someone they want to. Like it has to come to them. They have to go. People usually have to go through the trauma and the experience. Otherwise, you don't. This is why I say nobody teaches anyone. So like, who the fuck am I to say something to someone? Like they will only listen if they want. If they come and ask. So it's like all I can do as an artist is just put the shit out there. So if somebody wants to listen to it, amazing.